Have you ever lived a day when everything seemed dark, and suddenly your dog's gaze brought light? One of those moments when no one noticed your pain, but he knew. Without saying anything, he arrived. He leaned against his snout. It stayed there, and that's it. It was enough to keep you standing. This video is about a day like this, a day when my dog saved my life, and he has no idea about it. It's about how, sometimes, salvation comes on 4 legs, with a wagging tail and a pure heart. Comment here the name of your puppy. Have you ever felt that he saved you in a silent way? There was a moment when it was enough for him to be there, for everything to make sense again. Share it with us. Because here, all love is welcome, especially that which comes from a look that understands everything, without having to hear anything. It was on one of those days when the soul dawns gray, in which the body rises, but the heart remains lying down. I walked quietly inside, even surrounded by voices, commitments, obligations. Everything seemed mechanical, heavy, distant. And there, in the middle of my silence, my dog looked at me, without making noise, without asking for anything. He just looked at me. And it was at that moment that something inside me began to change. He didn't know what I was feeling, but he did. He felt the absence of joy in my walk, the fatigue in my eyes, the knot that held my breath. And with the wisdom that only animals have, he didn't ask me for words. He didn't try to understand logically. He just came closer, leaned his head on my leg, and stayed, as if to say, "You don't have to pretend to me. I just want to be here." And in that instant, his silence spoke more than any human voice could say. It's amazing how a dog can perceive what we hide even from ourselves. He does not need explanations, nor obvious signs. It is as if he had a radar for the soul, capable of detecting emptiness, fears, sadness disguised as strength. And when he feels it, he doesn't move away. On the contrary, it is closer. He doesn't want answers. He doesn't expect solutions. He just wants to share the burden, and that in itself is a rare and precious kind of love. While the world demands that we be strong all the time, the dog allows us to rest, that we are fragile, imperfect human. By leaning his head against our leg, he is saying, "I don't need you to smile. I need you to allow yourself to be loved." And this silent love, which does not judge, does not pressure, does not abandon, it has the power to soothe the soul like an invisible embrace. A simple gesture, but loaded with everything that matters. Presence, respect, and sincere affection. In that quiet gesture, there was more compassion than in 1,000 words. And that's when I understood. Sometimes, all we need is someone who stays, even without understanding. Someone who just is. Someone who says with body and heart, "You are not alone." And he did it, in his own way, with eyes that see the soul, and love that embraces even what is hidden. At that moment, I realized that I didn't need to explain what was happening, that it didn't have to look strong, that I didn't need to justify myself. It was enough to allow that silent love to envelop me. And it was like that, without promises, without solutions, without ready-made phrases, that he saved me. It saved me from the pain of having to be more than I could be at that moment. I didn't cry on the outside, but inside me, a dam was beginning to break. And he stayed there, as if he knew exactly when not to leave. Suddenly, my loneliness was no longer so great. My pain was no longer mine alone. There was something about that look, that presence, that reminded me that living was still worth living. He didn't know he saved me. He just knew that I needed company. And that was enough. He offered me the only medicine he had, his presence. And how powerful this kind of love is. One that doesn't try to fix, just embraces what's broken. It was the first time I understood, in practice, that a dog can be more than a friend. It can be shelter, a living warm refuge that breathes close to us and calms even what we don't know how to name. That day, I realized that it wasn't about grand gestures. It wasn't about words, solutions, or plans. It was about being together. About someone who just stands by us when no one else knows what to do. A dog doesn't ask what happened. He feels it. And when he feels it, he gets closer. With its simplicity, it gives us back the essentials, the comfort of not having to be strong all the time, the relief of being loved effortlessly. And that, on a difficult day, is like a blanket in the middle of the storm. When he touched me, he didn't heal my pain. But it reminded me that they didn't have to be tackled alone. And that's why he saved me. Not because it erased the sadness, but because it gave me the courage to face it. That's what a dog is. A piece of life that teaches us to come back to ourselves. And when everything seems dark, it is the low light that illuminates the path to the new beginning. No rush, no demands. Only with love. Love that welcomes. Love that remains. It became a shelter. On the day I needed it most, and I didn't even know it. During that day, he followed me to every corner of the house. He watched me, but without invading. He accompanied me, but without pressuring. And every now and then I would lie by with that long sigh that said, "I'm here." It was as if he was telling me, with his body, what I needed to hear with my heart. You can slow down, it can fall apart, I'm still here. And as simple as all this sounds, it was this small gesture that made the world turn inside me again. The lightness of his company was more effective than any words. He didn't know that this day was difficult. I didn't know I was thinking about giving up. But somehow he did. And that's exactly why he saved me. Life went on. The days passed. And he may never know what that moment meant, but I know. And whenever I remember, my heart swells with gratitude. Because sometimes the one who holds us on the edge of the abyss is not the one who screams, but the one who sits next to us in silence and waits for the courage to return. The truth is that he has saved me many times. But it was on that day that I realized, because we spend so much time looking for answers in distant places, and sometimes what we need is right there, lying on the floor with our eyes shining, our tails wagging, and our hearts full of love. For us, salvation sometimes comes in the form of companionship, in the form of silence, in the form of someone who simply stays. And when we realize this, the world becomes a slightly lighter place. How many times did he heal me without knowing it? When sadness weighed down and I found relief in that look. When the day seemed too difficult and a touch of the snout was enough for everything to change place inside me. He didn't come into my life to solve my problems, but he solved many of them just by existing. And that is why I say, without a doubt, that he saved me. Because true love doesn't need to make noise. It just needs to be lived. And the biggest lesson he gave me was this: we don't always need to understand everything. Sometimes we just need to be close to those who love us. No charges, no questions, no explanations. My dog taught me that the essential thing is not in what you say, but in what you feel. And on that day, the day he saved me without knowing it, I learned that true love is recognized in the quietest moments. And if you are going to look for something in this life, let it be this kind of presence. The one that heals just by being. And since then, I have come to see it with more awareness. Not only do I eat my dog, but as a part of my world that holds my life in ways I can't explain. He is not just an animal. It's careful. It's peace. He is someone who reminds me every day that there is love even in dark days. I started to pay more attention to the details. In the way he waits for me at the door, even though I've been gone for a few minutes. In the way he watches me sleeping, as if he wants to make sure I'm okay. In the way he smiles with his eyes. Because yes, a dog also smiles with its eyes, and maybe you've experienced something similar. A day when everything seemed too heavy, and then your puppy did something small, and it changed everything. If you've experienced it, you understand. If you haven't lived it yet, pay attention, because they do it all the time, even when we don't realize it. They have this divine ability to enter our world without invading, to transform without touching, to heal without promising anything. And perhaps this is what moves us so much. Their love is whole, simple, and silently transformative. They don't make speeches, but they make a home. They live in our routine, in our affections, in the small spaces that were previously empty. And, without us realizing it, they become part of our emotional structure. They are a living presence even when they say nothing. It is as if they understood that to love is not to fix, it is to remain. It is not changing the other, it is adapting to him. And so slowly, they show us that being loved can be light, can be meek, can be silent. We don't have to be perfect to deserve this love. For them, our existence is enough. They see beauty where we see flaw. They see strength where we feel tired. And because of this, they are able to heal even the wounds that no one else has seen. And when we realize it, they are already inside us. In the thoughts of the day, in the most beautiful memories, in the longing that tightens even with them still around. The love of a dog does not ask permission, but it never invades either. He simply occupies, with affection, with presence, with soul. They are like a house that has always been there, waiting for us to return. And when we return, we understand that there, in the calm look and in the body lying next to us, lives a type of love that does not need to be explained, only sense. From that day on, I started talking to him more, looking more into the eyes, to thank you more, because loving a dog is knowing that one day we will need to say goodbye. And when that happens, we'll wish more than ever that we'd enjoyed every second. So I decided, as long as he's here, I'll be too. And even if he never understands with words what he did for me, I know he does. Feel when my touch takes longer, when my gaze is deeper, when my silence has gratitude. Because between us, there is no need to say much. Love has become language. If this video touched your heart, leave your story with your dog here in the comments. Tell me, what's his name? How did he come into your life? What moment will you never forget? Each report is a way to keep alive this love so pure and true that only those who have or have had a dog truly know. And if you also feel this love that overflows, write down here, I love dogs. Because when we declare with simplicity what we feel, we spread light, inspire other people, and strengthen this chain of affection that is so lacking in the world. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to continue receiving messages like this made with love, to touch your day with tenderness and truth. And if you know someone who is in need of a word of hope, a hug in the form of a video, share this prayer. It may be just what that person's heart needs today. Here, you're never alone. Here, love for our four-legged companions finds a home. And, as long as they are with us, or even just in our memory, we continue to live with more love, more presence, and with a heart more full of gratitude.